Hi, hello, how are you? It's been a little while, not for any particular reason, just because that's the way that it worked out. So I hope you're doing well. Happy Thanksgiving if you celebrate it. I thought we could go on Am I the Asshole today and see what Thanksgiving asshole stories we've got here. So the first one, am I the asshole for telling my stepdaughter to call me dad even though her real dad doesn't like it? I'm 38, my wife is 33, and her daughter, my stepdaughter, is 11. I've been married to my wife for 3 years now, together for 4. I met her daughter when she was 7 and married my wife when she was 8. This is getting confusing, so my daughter can be Millie. Great. My wife got divorced when Millie was 6 because her ex cheated. But they still have a decent cordial relationship, and my wife doesn't badmouth Millie's biological dad in front of Millie. Good. My wife has mostly full custody, but her biological dad gets Millie 1 weekend a month. Millie loves her biological dad, but they are not very close anymore. She doesn't remember a lot of when her dad lived with her, and she doesn't see him often, so it's more of a formal relationship. He gets her ice cream and they watch movies, and basically she has a lot of fun when she sees him, but I'm the dad who comforts her when she has nightmares and listens to her chatter every day about the stuff that happened in school. I love her very much and I think of her as my daughter. Until recently though, she was still calling me by my first name. I didn't mind, but a few weeks ago she told me her friends said it was weird that she doesn't call her dad dad. Then she had to explain that I'm not actually her dad, and it was awkward. I sympathised and said that sucks. Then I told her that if she wants, she can of course call me dad. I didn't think about this very much, it just seemed obvious. But she was very happy and now only calls me daddy. My wife's ex came over for Thanksgiving because my wife wanted Millie to have both her parents there for once. I wasn't super happy, but I was okay with it. Her ex heard Millie calling me dad and questioned Millie in an upset way, and she said that I told her that me and him are both her dads. He got really angry and started screaming at me, saying that I'm not her dad and she should know that. Later, my wife was upset with me, saying I should have thought about how Millie's relationship with her real dad would suffer before I told Millie something like this. She says I'm selfish and just want to feel like her real dad, and even if Millie doesn't call me dad, it's not a big deal. Am I the asshole? Seems like people are being super harsh. Like, don't get me wrong, I can understand why Millie's biological dad felt awkward about the situation or wasn't very happy about it. But OP's been in our life for several years now. He, for all intents and purposes, is one of her dads. And OP did say, we're both your dads, not I'm your dad or I'm your daddy now. Do you know what I mean? And it's not as if he just decided one day, hey, you should start calling me dad, and that's, end of discussion. She came to him about it for a valid reason, and then to, kind of not solve the problem. I don't think it was a problem as such, but to kind of address that thing. OP said, yeah, you can call me dad. That's totally fine. So yeah, I can understand why biological dad is not very happy about that, but shouldn't be shouting and screaming, full stop. But also in front of the kid is worse, I think. And yeah, the mum calling OP selfish and being upset with him, I think that's a bit harsh, honestly. What else was he to do in that situation? Just be like, well, it's true, I'm not your dad. Do you know what I mean? Especially if he's basically acting like one of her parents, I just don't think that's very nice to, isolate him in a way, do you know what I mean? And keep him, yeah, you're part of the family, but not a real family, do you know what I mean? Whatever, but no, I don't think OP's the asshole here. Next one. Am I the asshole for not letting my 14-year-old cousin come on the cousin walk? When the bulk of my generation of cousins were 16 to 19, we started a yearly tradition of a cousin walk at Thanksgiving. For people familiar, a cousin walk happens with a group of teenage or adult cousins where there are certain conversations and activities that maybe aren't appropriate for older or younger relatives. At the time, there were only 3 that were under 16, a 14-year-old, a 4-year-old and a baby. 14 is kind of pushing it, but with the age differences, it seemed mean and stupid to leave the 14-year-old out, and it would draw more attention, so we brought her with us. This became a yearly tradition. The two youngest would ask to go out, but we always said it was an older cousin. Older kid thing, and everyone accepted it. This Thanksgiving, that 4-year-old is now 14, okay? And we went to go on our walk as usual, and this time my aunts really didn't accept that he couldn't come because we let Sheila, fake name, come when she was 14, so he's clearly old enough now and should be included. No, he's too young and it's not appropriate. Sheila was too young, but it was vaguely pushing it. Young, with the rest of us being very close in age. Now we're all in our 20s. Being asked to include a kid, yeah, also not for nothing, but all of us, including her, were in high school when this started. This was all teenagers, not 20-somethings and a middle schooler. She kept pushing and wouldn't understand why we were being so mean and not including him, and of course we couldn't admit exactly why. We were eventually let go, but she's been all over the family group chat about how awful we are and how we're all lacking in family values if we're so exclusive. I don't think we're in the wrong. Having an adult cousin only activity isn't inappropriate. There's just too much of an age gap, and unfortunately there are 2 cousin groups. Let me scroll up. What did they say? There was a 14-year-old, a 4-year-old and a baby. Yeah, but like the other group is only 2 people, right? I can see it from both sides. Like, I do think if it was fine for a 14-year-old to be included before, why can a 14-year-old not be included now? But I do get that it's not the same for a bunch of 20-year-olds to then be like bringing a 14-year-old along. I mean, they're adults now, so I don't think there should be any problem with saying, look, actually, it's not just a cousin walk. We actually go around and talk about stuff that isn't appropriate for kids. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think they're old enough that it should be acceptable that they're having adult conversations as adults. Do you know what I mean? And maybe then that would explain why, like, look, we're not trying to exclude him. It's just that, you know, now that there's such a big age gap and we're talking about all these grown-up things, we don't think it's appropriate. Like, because it seems as if OP possibly hasn't given the reason, because what was it they said? Yada yada. No, he's too young and it's not appropriate. No, we're under 20, blah blah blah. Oh yeah, she was saying that they were all being so mean, and of course we couldn't admit exactly why. Why not? Like I say, I think they're old enough. But are you the asshole? I can get how you seem like an asshole because you're not giving everyone all the information. So for all intents and purposes, yeah, kind of. But I think if you would have explained it or said, okay, well, let's not make that all it's for, you know, let's just make it just a cousin thing in general, then yeah. Not the asshole necessarily, but kind of a little bit the asshole. Next one. Am I the asshole for leaving my mum in the next town over, forcing her to pay $200 for a taxi? Last Saturday, me, my 3-year-old daughter and my mum went to the next town over for a day of shopping. It's summer at the moment in my country, and where we live gets really hot. After seeing a movie, we were walking back to my car, which is in the sun on the roof car park. We ran into an old friend of my mum who lives in the same town as her, and they start talking. I'm politely standing in the hot sun with my daughter for 10 minutes listening to the 2 of them talk. My daughter starts fidgeting and getting grumpy. I recognise that she's overheating and needs to get in the shade. I tell my mum we have to get daughter into the shade and she can chat with her friend at home. My mum snaps at me that I need to teach daughter to be patient and respectful when adults are speaking. Oh God. This was a story for my entire childhood. My mum is very inconsiderate of myself and my siblings' needs. Whenever she would run into a friend, she would make us wait in a hot car in the heat while she chats to them for 30 minutes. That's not cool. When we were in long car rides and we needed to pee, she would make us wait until we got to our destination. That's dangerous. I remember peeing myself a couple of times because of this, and she would scold me for peeing myself on purpose. That's not okay. I remember going the entire day without food besides breakfast if we were running errands, and her refusing to take us home and feed us or buy us food to eat. She would spend hours on the phone talking to her friends and ignoring us kids. There's a history of it. let's go on. So the conversation and her comments triggered me and I got really angry. I promptly took my daughter to the car and started to drive out of the parking lot. I stopped by my mum and I told her I was taking daughter home now and she could either come with us now or find another way to get home. She laughed at me and said to stop being dramatic and she would take as long as she needed with her friend. I think she thought I was bluffing and would pull over and wait for her. Instead, I drove off without her and got a call 20 minutes later asking where I was. I told her I was on my way home and for her to get another ride. I didn't listen to the rest and hung up on her. I got a text from her that night saying how I acted, disrespected her and left her stranded. Her friend left before she realised I was gone and didn't answer the phone while driving. I told my mum I wasn't going to let my kid pass out from heat exhaustion because she wanted to flap her jaws for about an hour. I also brought up the previous things and told her she needs to think about other people's needs and wants. We got into a big row and she said I crossed the big line leaving her stranded even if the other stuff was true. Now that I've cooled down a bit, I'm feeling guilty for what I did and not bringing it up in a more mature way. Am I the asshole? At first, like when I saw the title, I thought maybe like this is just being petty and like taking it a bit far, but I think given the fact that this is like a pattern and this woman clearly like doesn't respect the needs of others, but she thinks that she can talk about people disrespecting her. Do you know what I mean? Very hypocritical. And I think because OP did drive up to the mum and say, hey, get in the car now or find your own way home. It's not like she just left, or is it she? I don't know. It's not like the OP just left without saying anything. They did say like, look, we're leaving now. Are you coming with us? And the mother, I feel like she was the one being an asshole. So was it a bit much? Perhaps. Was it justified? I think so. Especially like, as I say, with that history and OP is clearly not wanting to repeat the cycle. Do you know what I mean? And wants to get their daughter in a better environment. So no, I don't think OP was the asshole there. Next one. Am I the asshole for hospitalising my friend's son? I'm a 25-year-old male and recently ordered a new scent from my favourite men's soap company. I thought nothing of it and a week had passed and it had arrived the morning of Thanksgiving. I was super excited because now I could use one of their new scents to smell good on Thanksgiving Day. I hopped in the shower and used it and I smelled really good. 3 hours later, most of my family started to arrive and soon so did my friend and his son Nathan. Before they all arrived, I had used one of the deodorants that came with it and left it out in the open. A fatal mistake. I started to chat with my friend and Nathan had ran off and I thought nothing of it. Later, I had to use the restroom, so I excused myself. When I returned to the table, Nathan was lying next to the stick holding his... the stick of deodorant, holding his stomach on the floor. Nathan had started to cry and I looked at the stick and it had a bite mark into it. Everyone was around Nathan, so I pushed through the crowd of people and asked Nathan if he had eaten some of it and he nodded in approval or confirmation in the affirmative. Nathan then started to seize and 911 was called. They arrived and his friend explained that his son had eaten a part of the deodorant and felt horrible and started to seize. My friend and his son had went to the hospital. Today they updated me on that Nathan was fatally allergic to an ingredient in the deodorant and is currently in a coma. Shit. Which it is unknown when he will wake up. My friend has blocked me on all platforms and was refusing to speak to me and is blasting me on Facebook saying that I caused all this and we were reckless and irresponsible for leaving the deodorant out knowing that his son is fatally allergic to it. Did you though? I had no idea that his son was allergic to anything, sure, and you don't expect a child to just pick up random things and start eating them, right? If the child is old enough to run off on their own and the parents aren't following them. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, I had no idea that his son was allergic to anything. Now everyone thinks that I'm a cruel monster, so I'm wondering, am I the asshole? It was a genuine mistake. Like I said, what are you supposed to do? Like before anyone comes to your house, be like, do you have any allergies? Because I'm just going to throw everything away if you've got an allergy. Do you know what I mean? OP did not know about the allergy. Were in their own house, left some deodorant out. Deodorant, generally speaking, is pretty harmless. I wouldn't think to hide my deodorants if someone were to come over, you know? And OP didn't know that they were allergic. Like, obviously it's really bad now that the son is in a coma. Like, obviously that's not a good situation, and I'm sure they feel really bad about it, but it was an accident. Like, what is the asshole behaviour here? Like, how should OP have known? So yeah, I understand the friend being upset, but like, it wasn't OP's fault. Like, someone doesn't have to be at fault for a bad thing to happen, you know? And as I say, it is a bad thing that the son is now in a coma, obviously. Hope they recover soon, but I wouldn't expect someone to just chomp into a stick of deodorant. I just wouldn't. So yeah, not the asshole, but a very unfortunate situation. Am I the asshole for telling my friend she might be raising a narcissist? Probably, because I don't think we should be diagnosing other people. Anyway, my friend Leah, 42-year-old female, has 3 kids with her husband Greg, 43-year-old male. The 2 older ones are very pleasant to be around and overall what you would call good kids. Then there's Max, who is a 5-year-old male. I thought that was going to be 5 months, but 5-year-old male. He terrorizes his sister and brother, needs attention 24/7, and Leah encourages it. She calls him her favourite last baby boy. Oh God, that's so cringy. Whatever he does to anyone, she brushes off with, "I just can't be mad at my favourite last baby boy." Oh God. How is that supposed to make the other kids feel? Like, oh, this child is clearly my favourite and I'm not afraid to let everybody know. Like, that's not very nice. Anyway, yeah, she says things like that in front of the older ones, and you would have to be blind to not to see how much it hurts them. I've been watching this whole situation for the last 2 years and never said a word because I don't believe in policing other people's parenting, and I think it's Greg's job to check her on that. He tries but failed so far. Along comes Thanksgiving. We had 23 guests, including Leah's family. We were all sitting at the table and Max started yelling every time the attention of the whole table wasn't on him. And I don't mean talking loud, I mean just screaming at the top of his lungs. He wanted everyone to watch him dance, then listen to the story of him beating the shit out of a kid at soccer practice, then playing with and throwing around food, then cried when people ignored his demand. Everyone should say they are thankful for him being cute, like his mummy when we said that we were thankful for, when we said what we were thankful for this year. So the friend is like, "Oh, I'm thankful for my favourite son." And then the son says, "Everyone should say that they're thankful for me being cute." And they were like, "No, don't be ridiculous." I first looked at Leah and Greg to make sure they understood I wasn't cool with that. He tried to shut him down, but Leah encouraged him and told him how funny and cute he was. God. Other people tried to gently shut him down and have conversations until my husband then got more specific and told him he can either let the people eat and talk in peace or go and eat with the other kids at the kids' table where he was supposed to be in the first place. I think that's very reasonable. Leah looked super pissed and went with him to the kids' table. I was relieved and thought that was the end of it. She left fairly early with him, but the rest of the family stayed and everyone seemed happy. This morning I got a call from Leah. She told me we were horrible hosts and this would be the last time they would come for Thanksgiving. Just to clarify, she actually is a successful, smart and fun person I love. That kind of broke the camel's back. I put on my nurse voice and calmly told her that I can't be a good host just to Max, and she has to understand that her encouraging his behaviours is not helping him, but raising him to be either a person nobody likes or even worse, a narcissist. She hung up and I haven't tried calling her back. My husband says I did the right thing and just said what everyone in the friend group has been thinking for years, but I feel bad for being so direct. Am I the asshole? Like I say, I don't think we should be diagnosing other people unless you're a paid professional who is being sought out for a diagnosis. However, I think given the context of the situation, if we take that element of it out, I don't think you're the asshole for saying, look, your son was being disruptive and he was ruining the meal or the evening for everybody else, because I do think that they would have been a worse host if they were just to let that continue and then everybody else there, like what they're now just supposed to be the devoted audience to this 5-year-old boy that they probably don't even fucking know or don't care about. You know, that would be being a bad host. And then it wasn't even OP that said about going to the kids' table. It was the other one. But I guess she did say we were horrible hosts. So yeah, She's not just blaming it on OP. But yeah, I just think like that kind of behaviour is not cool. I mean, it's one thing, not that it's a better thing, but like it's one thing like making it extremely clear that one of your 3 children is your favourite child and be like, I don't give a fuck about the rest of you. You can all sit at the kids' table, but my favourite boy is sitting at the big table with us and we're all going to pay him attention the whole time. Like that in itself is ridiculous. But then in somebody else's home, like when someone has invited you and your family into their home, you can't even like teach your kids to behave in a respectful manner in that environment. Like, you know, like I can't really say what you do in your own house, but when you're in somebody else's house as a guest, do you know what I mean? I think is she an asshole? Fuck it, yeah, she's an asshole, but OP isn't. OP isn't. But I get why you feel bad, but nah, sounds as if that was a relationship to be cut off anyway. Next. This person has already been deemed the asshole for telling my sister she has more than enough children. Yeah, that does sound like it's none of your fucking business, but let's see, shall we? So my 32-year-old female sister, oh God, the sister's not a 32-year-old female. OP is a 32-year-old female, and the sister is a 36-year-old female. So the sister already has kids with her husband, who is a 40-year-old male, which is way more than they can comfortably provide for, given what I know about their financial troubles, and also way more than both of them can handle, since it came to a point where my older niece, who is a 15-year-old female, is treated as an unpaid babysitter by her parents and constantly expected to help with her younger siblings. My sister recently went through a miscarriage on her 7th pregnancy, and I understand this can be a painful experience, but as I was talking about this with her, I told her at least she has six other children in her life already, and that maybe that's enough. She got very offended by my comment and told me I was being very insensitive and that her family choices have nothing to do with me. Actually, it has, because I had to loan her and her husband money on more than one occasion so they could support the household, but I didn't tell her that as to not make things worse. Anyway, am I really the asshole here? Edit, to be clear, my sister wasn't 7 months along when she had the miscarriage. She was in the early stages of her 7th pregnancy. It's something that many people seem to have misinterpreted. This has a little bit more nuance than I expected it to. What was she said? So it wasn't that like, look, you've had enough fucking kids, I think you should stop popping out more, or like, well, thank God you miscarried because you've got too many kids. It wasn't that. It was, well, at least you have 6 other children in your life. And maybe that's enough. That's an ambiguous phrase, because it's like, well, maybe, you know, maybe your existing kids are already enough for you because they're so great. Like they're amazing kids, and you know, you've got a great family already. Like, let's just be grateful for them. Or it could also be, don't you think they're enough? Like in a judgy way, do you know what I mean? Which I can totally get. Like in that situation, the sister was probably feeling like very sensitive, very vulnerable, very upset. So I can totally get how, or if she was to take it in the judgy way. So this could have been genuinely just like a mistake, and that you misspoke and that you meant for it to sound better than it came out. Fuck it, yeah, you're an asshole. I mean, OP hasn't said anything about, hey, I didn't mean it to come out that way, or it wasn't till later that I realised what I'd said, or whatever. They don't seem to realise what it is that they actually fucking said. So yeah, you're an asshole, why not? Which actually, I kind of feel bad about saying that, because if they genuinely don't realise what it was that they said that was wrong, maybe they're just, do you know what I mean, less socially aware or less self-aware, which doesn't necessarily make them an asshole, just like not as practiced at that, or I don't know how to phrase it, but do you know what I mean, right? Like, is that a bit mean saying they're an asshole? Like if someone can't do maths and that's the reason why they didn't give the correct change, that doesn't make them an asshole, it just means that like they're not very good at maths. Interesting. Let me know in the comments what you think. Is this person an asshole? I mean, Reddit's clearly decided that they are already. Anyway, next one. I just have 2 more picked out. Am I the asshole for not following traditions in Thanksgiving? This person has been deemed not the asshole, but we shall decide for ourselves. Hi, I'm using a throwaway because So to start this off, I am a 27-year-old female and have been dating my husband. That's a phrase you don't hear very often. It's usually like I've been with my husband or I've been dating my boyfriend. Like, but dating your husband sounds a bit weird, but anyway, doesn't really matter. Who's a 34-year-old male since 2018. We got married 3 years into a relationship in 2021 and things have been going extremely well. We have spent 4 years of Thanksgiving at my parents' house. This was the first time we chose to spend it at his parents' house. When we got there, my mother-in-law, her mother, and both my sister-in-laws were in the kitchen all helping each other with food. Me and my husband went in there and talked for a bit. My mother-in-law asked me if I would like to help out. I said, not right now, would it be okay if I come back soon and help out a bit? She very nicely said it was totally fine and told me and my husband to get us something to drink. And told me and my husband to get us something to drink. You mean told us to get ourselves something to drink, right? And hang out with the men and kids. I thought it was going in this direction. My husband gave me a nasty look and said, you're not even going to help? You're not going to help either? His mother said that they were more than enough people and she just asked me in case I wanted to help with the cooking, but that they all managed just fine. He grabbed a beer for only himself and went into the living room. Oh, bitch. I did the same and followed after. I ended up helping them with setting up everything on the table as I wanted to help out just a bit. His mother did not ask me to do this, neither did my sister-in-laws. Dinner went extremely well, we talked a lot and I really like his family. When me and husband got in the car, because I think there's only 2 people, he started mumbling really angrily at me. I asked him about 3 times what he was saying before he blew up at me. He told me that it's their tradition that the women are in the kitchen cooking, that I disrespect his mum in her own house by acting so entitled. Bitch. How have they not come across this clear sexism throughout the whole time they've been together? They've been together since 2018. What's that, 5 years now they've been together? And only now you're realising how sexist your husband is? Where am I? Back to the we ended up having an argument about this whole thing and he's not stopped insisting on that his mother in fact is offended by this. I have not talked to her about this. She did not tell me anything about being offended either. But I know his mum is a really nice woman who would never want to say anything bad about someone, so I'm starting to think that maybe I really did disrespect his mum and she just doesn't have the heart to tell me. So am I the asshole for not following the traditions? I feel like I was an asshole because helping out would not have been that hard, and had I known the outcome, I would have just stayed and helped out. Edit, I don't know if this will help my case, but I'm working as a nurse and had just come from an 18-hour shift and directly went to mother-in-law's house, hence why I wasn't keen on helping out with dinner. I could not get that day off, don't know if it's even relevant or not. Edit 2, I've seen many people thinking this and I've tried responding in the comments, but I did not completely ignore or disregard the female side of my in-laws. I was sat in the kitchen talking with them for most of the time, but I also went out to make small talk with all the other people. And what if she had talked to, let's be honest, the men more than the women, because she seems to be the only woman who wasn't in the kitchen doing the cooking? What about all the men? How were they not being rude and disrespecting the women by not talking to them and not even fucking offering to help? Okay, this is clearly sexism. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, I mean, I feel like there's not really much that I should say about this because I'm just going to be going around in circles, but it's very clear that a lot of people, even now in this day and age, I see it all the time and it actually pisses me off, think that the women are the ones that should be helping out and doing all the household stuff and the cooking and basically doing fucking everything, and the men should just be relaxing, having a good time and not even think about helping out, which I think is fucking bullshit. And OP did help. OP helped set the table and stuff, and I think it was actually really good, like in terms of establishing boundaries to say, not right now, is it okay if I help later? Like, I think that's great. So, shut the fuck up. Not the asshole, OP, not the asshole. Last one. Am I the asshole for leaving my girlfriend at a get-together because her friend made racist comments towards me? Bitch. Me and my girlfriend were at a Friendsgiving and there was around 9 or 10 people there, and my girlfriend was invited and asked me if I wanted to go with her. So I said yes, even though I didn't know anyone there. All her friends and their boyfriends. Me and my girlfriend just started dating recently, less than 2 months ago, but we had known each other for 6 months before that, so that maybe explains why OP hasn't met those friends. Some context, I'm mixed with mainly 3 ethnicities, but I'm majority 50% Chinese, and my girlfriend is a white lady and her friend A is Hispanic. So we were all sitting around the couch and chatting when the topic of Bryce Hall got brought up, and I don't know who or what Bryce Hall is. Sorry, I don't know if that's bad or not. Anyway, Bryce Hall got brought up and my girlfriend says, doesn't OP look like Bryce Hall? Popular TikToker. Okay, I've never used TikTok before in my life, so that's why I don't know. Sorry, scroll too much. So girlfriend says, doesn't OP look like Bryce Hall? I've been told this once before, except that they said the Asian version, and one of her friends, let's call her A, says Rice Gum, who is an Asian YouTuber, pretending that she didn't hear what my girlfriend had said and just saying his name because we were both Asian. We kind of laugh it off, but since I didn't know anyone, I kind of felt awkward, and 5 minutes later my girlfriend was talking about how she had a decaf frappuccino from Starbucks that morning, and A has gone with her and... Wait, it was that morning though, right? She had a decaf frappuccino from Starbucks that morning and A has gone with her. Well, in the morning or now? Gone with her, and the barista had made a comment and said, why'd she get a decaf? And I teased her after she said that because I know how much she loves caffeinated coffee. I said, why would you get a decaffeinated coffee? A then blurts out, what's Rice Gum talking about? And the room went silent. Yeah. Obviously, these are people I don't know at all, and I had let it go the first time, but the second time, it got under my skin, and I excused myself, and my girlfriend comes after me and tries to defend her friend, saying she's harmless and she's just joking, but not one sorry. My mood was ruined, so I told my girlfriend to have fun with her friends, and I left. My girlfriend got mad that I left, and said I embarrassed her in front of her friends. Am I the asshole? Bitch, no. Like, why should you have to stay in a situation where you're being the subject to somebody's racism, and your girlfriend thinks it's okay to just ignore it again and that it's totally fine, whatever. And clearly everybody else in the room was like, shit, like that's not cool, or else they wouldn't have all gone silent, right? So no, I don't think OP's the asshole. I think A is an asshole, and your girlfriend was also kind of an asshole. Like, I could understand if she was like, gosh, I'm so sorry, like I'm sure she's just joking, like please stay, you know, you can leave if you want, but I really want to stay and I kind of have to stay because it's all my friends and stuff, you know, whatever. But yeah, getting mad at OP for removing himself for that situation and then thinking that she's the one that's been embarrassed. Bitch, I don't know about y'all, but I've been in situations before where I'm the subject, the target of racism. I don't think it's embarrassing. Like, well, I think it is embarrassing for the other people because they're like, it's awkward. They're like, oh my God, like, fuck, what do we do? What do we say? But I think it's worse for the person who's like being racially abused. Do you know what I mean? I don't think that, I think it's pretty self-centered to, you know, prioritize yourself and say, I'm the one that was like the worst affected by the situation. No, bitch. OP's not the asshole. But anyway, there we go. We got some Thanksgiving Am I the Asshole stories. I hope you enjoyed this episode. As I say, it's been a while since I've done one. I hope you are having some good times, whether you celebrate Thanksgiving or not. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye. 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 Bye.